let's try some.
Please.
I see there's two bottles here.
We have the 2005 and the 2006, and it's always that much more fun to taste two vintages.
Yeah, sort of a side-by-side comparison.
Exactly.
2005 was a good year in Napa.
Yeah, 2005 and 2006 were both excellent vintages. We've really been fortunate to have a string of really successful vintages from really 2001 through 2008. They've each had their own character and their own challenges, but that's how it is working with nature.
Sure. Yeah, you kind of have to roll with the punches, as it were.
You're surfing the big wave and you're not in command.
That's
you're
right.
out for the ride.
And you, as a winemaker, certainly know that. I mean, you're probably at any given time having to decide, okay, how much of that Merlot am I putting in, or do we pick yet, or do we wait another week, or whatever, and just there's no science. I mean, there is a science to it, but in a way, there's not.
There's an important part of the structure of winemaking is science, but really, when you get down to those critical decisions, it's about what tastes right, what feels right.
Your instincts.
And instincts, yeah.
That's wild. So, just looking at the two side by side, the 2005 seems to have a slightly lighter color. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, I think clearly the differences between the wines are due to the weather of the vintages. Some of those influences we understand pretty well. Others of them we still don't. In this case, it's I think we have a pretty good understanding. 2005 was a very moderate growing season, no extreme heat, no real cold, and in 2006 we had some hot weather in late July and early August, which tends to thicken the grape skins a little bit more. So it got a little bit more dense color. The berries were a bit smaller in 06 and 05, so there's more color density, a little bit more potential for tannin, so it's a question of making sure you manage that properly.
Right, so picking them earlier, picking them later.
You still pick them when they taste ripe. And in both vintages, the fall weather cooperated so that we didn't have to rush to pick. It was a question of letting them just hang out there on the vine until everything seemed right. But just with the thicker skins in 06 and a little bit more pigment, you're going to have a darker wine.
Gotcha. All right, well let's have a taste of the 05. Wow, it's a beautiful nose. It's a very substantial nose.
Yep. It's got that sort of classic mix of black and red fruit and the beautiful, as I call it, the perfume that's pretty typical of 05s across the valley.
Well, I already went and tasted it. And those layers of red and dark fruit continue. And then there's almost like sort of a dark, you know, those other things like leather and tar, and just a very, again, substantial sort of foundation. It's just kind of, the wine is just there. There's no question this is a substantial, big, beautiful wine.
It's been in the bottle for a couple of years, so it's starting to show more and more of those nuances, those undertones that turn into complexity in the wine over time.
Wow.
And really, with a terrific property like this, where we've got such diversity of sites. We've got 3 hills on the property and an appellation that's otherwise largely flat.
Right.
Geology in California does what it does, and we're reaping the benefits. But I've got different flavor nuances coming from the different soil types and different parent rock and the different exposures and elevations that I've got all over the vineyard. And that's just an easy way for me as a winemaker to bring in the flavors of the different blocks and that create a wine that's got such beautiful complexity.
So when after you've picked the fruit and you're in the barrel room, you've got these things like a spice rack laid out where, okay, these are the Cabernet grapes from the eastern block, the slope facing the sun, and you have it all divided so you can sit there with an eyedropper and like a mad scientist and figure out what the proper mix is.
Close to it, yeah. And it's something where you build up a taste memory very quickly. The body, the human brain and body, the brain connects to the physical experience. You're walking through a vineyard, tasting grapes, you remember it that much easier. And so I'm walking through each of the blocks dozens of times during harvest. Right. You begin to get a taste memory of what that is already for that vintage before it ever goes into a tank.
So I could blindfold you and say, Charles, what part of the property is this grape from? or this juice, this...
I remember the famous quote that Harry Waugh, a great British wine writer and wine taster, had when they asked him when was the last time he confused a claret with a burgundy, and he said, "Oh, I haven't done that since lunch."
Right.
So you could blindfold me and do that. I might get it and I might not.
Fair enough.
These are fairly subtle nuances, but in some cases they're quite distinct.
Wow. And so then again, when it comes time to start preparing the 2005, the 2006, you're going and taking a percentage of this and a percentage of that and mix it all up to make that what you feel is the flagship wine of the property for that year. Okay, so that's the 05. We have a little more. Yeah, that's a beautiful wine. So this is the 06. Again, this appears to be a little bit darker. It could be my eyes. Obviously, it hasn't been in the bottle as long.
Yeah, it's been in the bottle a year less.
Right.
And so it won't have quite developed some of the nuances yet, but you're going to see a lot of the same. It's more than just a thread of vineyard character running through. It's a dominant character that runs through from vintage to vintage.
On the nose, I feel like I'm getting more of the red fruit than the black fruit for some reason than I was before.
Some black there, but there's more fruit. Maybe a little bit less perfume at this time. And
also,
yeah,
there's
it's showing some
something
beautiful red right now.
There's something bright and I can't put my finger on it. There's something else there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I run into that a lot. Sometimes I end up having taste memories of something where I don't have a name for it, but I know that it's that thing that I can't quite describe that's sort of like a certain spice.
Wow. That really is interesting to go side by side like that and say, okay, this is what was happening in 2005, and this is 2006, and whatever was going on in the world, and in the clouds, in the sky, in the air, here's the expression of it.
In Napa Valley, we're blessed with one of the most benign wine-growing climates of any great region in the world, so we're able to have consistent excellence
most years.
More years out of a decade than darn near anywhere else around. But the wines are different.
Right.
It's the weather ends up impacting us, and as we've become better wine growers, as we understand our vineyards better and understand our winemaking better, and have more gentle ways of handling our grapes and our wine, those nuances show through in the wines more easily and earlier. And so here we are.
At the end of the day,
this is what it's about.
This is what it's about.
It's about the wine and the glass.
Well, Charles, this is one of the best Saturday mornings I've had in a long time, and I appreciate you taking the time and showing our viewers a little bit about Quintessa.
Delighted to have you here.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.